Hey, what's up guys? I'm Sarah from Rusty Dog & Co. And in today's video, we're going to make a drill charging station to house some of these Milwaukee chargers and batteries that I have for my tools. All right, let's get started. All right guys, so I just got into the Milwaukee family, I guess you could say, within the last year. When I first got started doing all of my DIYs and woodworking, I bought a lot of Ryobi tools because they were the cheapest option and that allowed me to get the most amount of things. And Ryobi just makes a lot of different things. So that is sort of the brand that I went with initially. And to be honest, a lot of people like to hate on Ryobi, but all of my Ryobi tools have pretty much done everything I have asked them to do. So I can't really complain about the tools that I bought, and I'm still using a lot of those tools all of the time. However, as I got a little bit more serious about my woodworking and my DIY game, then I've sort of made a few upgrades over the past year. I bought a Milwaukee track saw in the last like 6 months, and then for Christmas, my parents got me this nice drill and driver set, and I've got my eye on a couple other Milwaukee tools that I'll probably purchase at some point in the future. So that sort of left me in a bit of a pickle because a lot of these tools that I got, they came with a charging station, they came with batteries. I would sort of try to find the deals when they came with something like a free battery or free charger. So that has left me with a lot of these chargers, and I did build a drill charging station in the past, but it is full currently with all of my Ryobi, and so that has sort of left me with no room to add any of these Milwaukee charging stations. So like I said, the plan in this video is to build a secondary drill charging station. I might put it on my French cleat wall. I'm not 100% sure yet because this is probably gonna have to be pretty good size. So we'll figure out where it's gonna go a little bit later on. But the plan is to go ahead and cut up some pieces that I can sort of construct this drill charging station out of. Hopefully this should be a pretty quick and simple build. So let's get going. Now I'll be getting the majority of the pieces for this charging station out of a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. I started by breaking the sheet down with my track saw into smaller pieces that I could then rip to size over on my table saw. So I'm not planning on doing anything fancy with this drill charging station because, come on, it's just shop furniture. So I'm not even gonna worry about trying to hide screws. The plan is to just join this together, sink some screws through the outside to connect all the pieces together. I probably won't even plug those holes because who cares? Now these side pieces are just out of 1/2 inch material because that's what I had. I didn't wanna have to cut into that sheet of 3/4 inch plywood anymore because that's a pretty good size piece that's left over. I can use that for other things. I had some of this 1/2 inch plywood left over from another project. It happened to be the right size. So that is what I'm going to use for the sides. And that'll be good because it will make it a little less heavy. I'm afraid this thing might be a little bit heavy. This is going to be the back panel that I will join the sides to. I just feel like this thing is massive, but I want it to be a pretty good size so that I can grow into it in case I end up getting more batteries or more drills or drivers, because can you ever really have enough? Turns out you probably can. I also just chopped off the edges here. I really don't know why. To me, that just felt like a nicer look. So first up, I'm going to countersink a couple holes on the sides here, and then I'm just gonna simply screw these sides into this back panel piece. So watch me work. All right, I'm using this little countersink bit from Ramana Tools. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know that I love this thing. It is really nice for getting clean countersink holes every single time. I think it'll be easier to countersink my holes like this. Take some scrap wood here and put a couple holes. That's an arbitrary amount, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. We might as well make it even on the other side too. Clean up our mess by just throwing it in the floor. Isn't that what everybody does? Okay, let's throw some glue on this, clamp it up, and attach our screws. All right, now it's time to add the screws to sort of hold this all together. So I'm gonna be adding 1.5 inch screws into all of those holes that I countersunk. Dead. See, if I had a drill charging station, I wouldn't have this problem. Look, I know I said that I didn't care what this looks like, but I am gonna clean up this glue squeeze out here because, you know, I have standards. Okay guys, this is the main frame of the drill charging station. Pretty massive now that I'm looking at it. This is going to be the overall size. I'm gonna add 2 shelves in here, and then there'll be a section down here where you can hang your drills and drivers in. Kind of similar design to what I had with my last one. So next up, it's going to be adding some shelves and then just getting all of the pieces sort of tied into this main frame here. So I'm gonna work on attaching my first shelf, and I know that I want it 6 inches down from the top of the sideboards here. So in the past, I would just measure and try to get it equal on both sides, but I've gotten just a tad bit smarter over the years, and I've learned that it's much simpler to just cut some scrap blocks. I usually have tons of scrap wood lying around that just ends up in a fire pit. So why not let it help me out a little bit? I've cut these to 6 inches. Now I can just place them here up with flush with the top of my sides and my back. That way I know that my first shelf needs to sit and butt up against those. Oh, I'm seeing a pretty big problem that I forgot to account for. I made these 10 inches, which is the total width of the sides, but I totally forgot that they were gonna be sitting on this back piece, which is 3/4 inches thick. So that means that I need to rip 3/4 inches off of these. That way I can get them flush with the sides here. So I'm gonna go do that. 9 1/4 to rip them down. All right guys, I fixed my little whoopsie. Now these are 9 1/4 inches, so they should fit flush. Let's put them in here, butt them up against the spacer blocks. All right, we're sitting flush. Got my spacer blocks. This is butted up to those. There's a clamp on here. Oh shoot, I forgot to add glue, but I'll add it for the next one. It's probably okay without glue because I've got enough screws going in there. All right guys, I took a little bit of a break because I wanted to do some thinking, and I think I've sort of switched up my plan for this drill charging station. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I already have one drill charging station, and that houses all of my Ryobi chargers, batteries, and my drill and drivers. And the plan was to just use this as a secondary drill charging station for all of the Milwaukee chargers and batteries. But I think what I want to try to do now is see if I can fit all of my charging stations and all of the batteries on this one drill charging station, and then just get rid of that one that I made previously. Because this one is a little bit bigger in size, I think I should be able to put everything on this one charging station. So in order to make that work, I think what I'm gonna try to do is squeeze one more shelf here above these charging stations here, just give myself enough clearance. That way I'll have another shelf that I can house the batteries on. So I gotta go cut one more shelf, and then we'll work on getting that attached. I decided to cut a hole in the sides to allow power cords to pass through, since my power strip will not be inside the charging station. So I'm gonna cut this out with a hole saw. I'm just placing a little painter's tape on the side to help prevent tear out. Next, I need to get the drill holder dividers, I guess you would call them, attached to the main box. I again cut some spacer blocks to 4 inches just to help me get them spaced evenly. I applied some wood glue to these pieces and then clamped them in place and attached with screws from the top and the back. Now I did have to use a right angle drill attachment here for getting those screws screwed into the top since I didn't have much clearance. Alright guys, so I got wrapped up in a couple other projects yesterday, so I wasn't able to get this thing totally finished. So I'm back at it today and I have one additional step that I have to sort of take care of so I can get this thing fully assembled, and then I can take care of some of the finishing steps. So the last thing I have to add is the pieces on the bottom here that'll just sort of hold and cradle all of my drills and drivers. So I just cut out a couple of pieces out of that plywood I was using. I think I made these like 4 inches wide, and then the plan is just to attach them on these pieces here. I'll use some wood glue and some screws, get those all attached, and then this thing should be fully assembled. Okay, so I think the easiest way to attach these is just to flip the piece over, and then I'll just attach it from the top. This thing is getting heavier and heavier, harder to move. Okay, and so the plan is just to place it on like that. I'll put some glue on here and then sink some screws through the top of this piece here. Now to make this a little bit easier, I did go ahead and mark a line on here. This is an 1.25 inch in, and I can use that to basically line it up with one of the edges on my plywood. That's just gonna make sure that these pieces are centered and that I have the same amount of overhang on each side. Probably gonna have to break out the stool because I am a little bit vertically challenged. So I think what I'll do is I will put some glue on here, get it lined up according to that line that I made, and then I'll just use my brad nailer, sink a couple of brad nails in there to hold it in place. Then once it's in place, I'll then come in and add the additional screws. Okay, so I've got one attached. I just have a few brad nails in there that's holding it in place. For right now, that's all I'm going to do. I'm gonna go ahead and add glue and brad nails and get them all sort of attached on every piece, and then I'll come in and add the screws. So I made my end pieces a little bit smaller. So these are only about 2 inches, and then I'll just hang those over the edge a little bit so that I have the same sort of gapping that I have here. All right, sorry I had to take a quick break because I just got a big plywood order delivered for a pretty big upcoming project, which you guys will find about soon. But back to screwing screws. All right, so I decided to put my Ryobi batteries and chargers in this Cobalt charger I got up on this top shelf. I want to sort of separate the batteries from the chargers though. Honestly, I don't know why. It just felt like it was a good thing to do. So I just cut this little divider piece here, and you know what? I think I am gonna just miter that as well. And then I'll just get some wood glue on here and attach it either with nails or screws. Very simple. I know I said I didn't care what this thing looked like, but I guess I lied. I thought about it and I was going to just leave it as is and just go ahead and install it, but I decided to add a little bit of paint to it. Just very simple, ultra matte black spray paint. I'm just gonna give this thing a couple of coats. Once the paint dries, then we can get it up on the wall. Hey, guess what? If you happen to click on this video because you've been wanting to build a drill charging station for your own workshop, well then I've got some pretty great news for you. It might just make your day. It might not, but then again, it just might. I've actually put together some detailed build plans for this drill charging station so that you can easily make one for yourself. My plans are based on the one that I made in this video, but you could always scale it up or down depending on how big you need it to be. If this is something that you're interested in, then you can find these build plans over on my website, which is www.rustydogandco.com. And here's the best part. They are totally free. That's right, free. Consider it my gift to you for watching this video and hopefully hitting that like button, which I know you're probably gonna feel like doing to return the favor, right? Again, you can find those free plans on my website, www.rustydogandco.com, and I'll leave a link to them in the description box below. Okay, back to the build. Alright guys, we've reached the point in the build where I'm gonna have to do a little bit of cleaning up before I can get this drill charging station installed and call it completely finished. So I'm on my French cleat wall over here and I'm sort of just moving a couple of things around because this is such a big drill charging station. I want to make sure I have enough room for it. So I just have to reorganize some things and just see what layout I want to go with. I also want to replace this little power strip here. I did go and pick up a 6-foot long one just because I need additional outlets since I'll be plugging more stuff in over here. So the plan is to get this off the wall, get this one installed, and then I just need to clean up this work surface here. This I kind of knew was going to be a problem when I built this set of cabinets and put this top on here. I had a feeling stuff was just going to congregate on the top here, and I was totally right. I don't do the best job at cleaning this thing up all the time, so as you can see, stuff just gets thrown on there and it's probably been there for a while. So while I'm working on all this today, I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cleaned up, get this whole French cleat wall looking a little bit cleaner, a little bit more organized. I'm thinking I might just screw it right into the studs rather than adding a French cleat for it, just because of the weight of it. I don't know if I want to have it resting on the French cleats. Luckily, everywhere that I have screws here on my French cleat walls sort of tell me everywhere that I have studs. I've already taken the time to lay all that out, and I got all of these French cleats mounted into studs, so it shouldn't be too terrible to try to find a stud that I can mount this drill charging station into. All right, anyways, I gotta stop stalling and I guess I gotta start cleaning. What is all this stuff? Why do I do this to myself? I like how I even bought these little organizer things to go in drawers so I was more organized, and I just have them sitting up here. You actually have to put them in the drawers for them to make things more organized, I guess. String for my hoodie because it's kind of unsafe. Anytime I feel like these hoodie strings are hanging too low when I'm working around power tools or saws, they get cut off and they're supposed to go into the trash, but sometimes they end up sitting on the table for 6 months. But let's on my way now. Okay guys, I'm not gonna bore you watching me clean all of this up, so I'm gonna get this clean, and then next time you see me, we'll be putting this new drill charging station on the wall. I bet at this point you guys are thinking I've done such a nice job of cleaning up this space. Everything looks nice and clean and organized, but the reality is I literally just moved it all there. But I'm gonna clean it up. Alrighty guys, I've got this space completely cleaned off now, and now I wanna sort of figure out where I want this drill charging station to go. My total width for my drill charging station is 33 inches, so I went ahead and sort of marked out where I'm kinda thinking I want it to go. I wanna make sure that I've got 2 pretty evenly placed studs. So if I place it about here, I'll have 2 studs that I can sort of drill into in a couple different places. I'm gonna need about 34 inches of clearance here for everything, including having the drills and drivers hanging down. I'm okay if they sort of hang down lower here because as you guys saw, this surface doesn't get worked on a ton. It usually just accumulates a a lot of junk, and if I kind of block off this area, maybe it won't accrue quite as much junk, but don't get your hopes up, guys. Knowing me, it probably still will. So I'm gonna sort of measure out from where the end will be, what this distance is to my stud, and then I'll go ahead and pre-drill some holes into my cabinet. That way I can just hold it up on the wall, sink some screws in through those pre-drilled holes, and we should be good. Remind me again why I made this so heavy. Can we get it up here? Come on, Sarah, come on. Whew. I don't know. Now I'm like, do I want it there? What do you think, Mark? Could put it further over that way. It's not terrible. Still leaves me a lot of room there. I think I've changed my mind. That might be the spot. Leaves me some room here where I can add a couple more things if I want to. Got a little bit more work area here. So yeah, I think we're gonna go with that. Well, my original plan was just to wait until my husband got home to kind of help me lift this in place. But sometimes I get a little bit impatient when I'm working. I just want to finish a project. So I cut some scrap blocks to 11 inches, and that's sort of the distance between the top of here and where I sort of want the top of this to be. So my plan is to try to put these blocks under this so that I can have it held up in place. And I've already pre-drilled my holes here. So once I get it in place, I should be able to just put a couple of screws into those studs. Let's see how this goes. Whose idea was it to make it this heavy? I'd like to speak to their manager. Well, in a true stroke of luck, my husband actually just got home and he brought me lunch. Do we like that height or do we want to go lower? I want to bring it down a little bit. Let's see what we're working with here. It's about 5 inches. I might bring it down 3 inches. So I'll cut 3 inches off of these scrap blocks and drag in. First of all, let's see what this height is like. All right, I think I like this height here. I can still slide everything in. There's a little bit of room under here, but given the fact that I'm slightly vertically challenged, I think this is going to work better. I'm not having to get on my tiptoes to reach anything, so I think I'm gonna go with this height here. Need to slide it over a little bit this way to line up with my marks, and then I will just sink some screws into this thing, and hopefully it'll be nice and attached to this wall. That thing is sturdy. I think I can even do pull-ups on this thing. I'm not gonna because I don't want you guys to judge my pull-ups, but this thing is on the wall. It's attached really well, and I feel pretty confident that it's not going anywhere. Now that I've got this thing up on the wall and it's secure, it's time to get all of the chargers in place, get all the batteries, get the drills and drivers loaded in here, and just finish this thing off. Honestly, don't even know if I need this many Milwaukee chargers, but I mean, I have them, so might as well throw them up here. I don't know that I need to have this. Maybe one day I'll have like hundreds of Milwaukee batteries that I need to have charging all the time. Really, I could have probably got by with 2 of them, but like I said, I have them, and rather than them sitting in a drawer somewhere, now I can display them on this nice drill charging station. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, like I've got no problem with Ryobi. I have a lot of their tools, but if there's one thing I could maybe change is that the charger is just huge and there's no way to like disconnect it so that it could fit through like the size hole that I drilled there. So I'm just gonna have to like run it along the wall, and this just takes up a ton of space versus something like this. Just one little nitpicky thing. Okay, plan is to put a couple pieces of this double-sided tape here that I can sit the chargers on just to keep it from moving around as much. Now this isn't a perfect solution, but I can't seem to think of anything better at the time. So this is the approach I'm going with. Now a lot of these types of chargers do have some holes on the back here for screws. That works really well if you plan on like mounting it on the wall, but when it's sitting like this, I found that those just don't really work as good. So we're gonna go this double-sided tape route and see if this will just keep them stationary. That's gonna keep them from sliding around. I feel pretty good about that. It's not perfect. Over time, this tape might need replacing, but I like this better than when you go to put a battery in, when the chargers move around. I like this a lot better when the charger kind of stays in place. So just gonna do that same thing for this row down here. So it's not gonna work quite as good with these Milwaukee ones because they have these like tiny little feet here. So that's really all that the double-sided tape has to grip onto. So honestly, not that effective for these, but I've already laid the tape down. So I'm gonna keep at it, and these will just not be quite as stationary as some of the other ones. There's nothing like cord management that really tries your patience. That and untangling Christmas lights. If you can do either of those things, I'm convinced you can do anything. All right, I'd say that looks okay. All right guys, I just went around my entire shop and looked for every single battery that I could find. And the nice thing is that this drill charging station will pretty much hold all of the batteries that I currently own. And I'll probably have a little room to grow because more than likely I'm not going to have every single battery that I own on this thing all of the time. A lot of times they're in tools and I just leave them in the tools until they need charging. So there should be plenty of room on this thing for housing all of the batteries that I currently own and all the ones that I'll probably get in the future too. One of the things that I incorporated on my last drill charging station that I really liked is placing some labels on the sections that I keep my batteries so that I know I can kind of keep them separated between batteries that are fully charged and ones that still need to be charged. All right, last thing I have to do is just get my drills and drivers slotted into these spots here. This thing will be done. We're done. All right guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. Another shop upgrade done, and I have to say that I am really loving the way that this drill charging station turned out. It's like twice the size of the one that I built a couple of years ago, which is kind of nice because as I mentioned earlier, I won't always have every single battery that I own stored on this thing. So that means that I should have plenty of room on this thing for adding additional tools or batteries in the future, which is nice because you never know what tools you just might need in the future. future. And with this drill charging station, I should have plenty of room to store those. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, something super simple that you guys can do is just to give this video a like. Something free that you guys can do on your end, and it really does help my channel out, so I would appreciate it. Also, consider getting subscribed because I put out a lot of videos that are centered around workshop upgrades, woodworking, building cool things, and the occasional DIY project as well. So you might just find some videos on my channel that you would enjoy, so I'd love to have you guys subscribed as well. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you for my next video. Bye.